Lead and Follow, Life Lessons Through Dancing. Chapter 6, The Comprehensive Dance Class. Over the course of a few years, a dancer will improve their skill and dance becomes second nature to them. Many eventually go on to perform in grand auditoriums, gaining experience they will never forget and will talk about for years to come. I have met a number of such dancers, slated for the top of their fields, as well as some who treat dance as a hobby, but are nonetheless just as good. I have been amazed time and again at what some dancers have accomplished, and all they still hope to accomplish. But a dancer's goals are not always for glory or praise, like some athletics, nor for intellectual prowess like some academic aspirations. Most dancers do not think about living a dream while dancing. Instead, a dancer tends to wish for that which may be regarded as sentimental. They hang on to the momentum of physicality that comes with freedom of movement, and patterns which evoke to some degree a spectrum of emotion, which carry with it a soothing degree of satisfaction. They don't necessarily look for an exploration of the mind, but wish to experience the form of the body in all its propensities. A dancer dreams of that which he or she can accomplish through movement, at the fingertips of imagination. We might then ask ourselves, what do dancers accomplish with their experience? What is it that a dancer is left with after the long hours of practice are over and the years of dedication to the art have passed? What do dancers find when they reach an awareness and understanding of all the art has done for them and created in them? What do they learn or gain? To answer any part of this questioning, we must look into what dancers undergo during the course of their training. Let's consider a dance class comprehensively. What all might be learned in that single class? It may be impossible for any individual to grasp at one life lesson taught in a single class or small series of lessons. But people who take many classes or dance often may come to understand a few. So we must consider that any one of the ideas that will be presented could be gained at any time in any one class, depending upon the class and the person. This will then certainly be a very comprehensive single dance class or dance experience. Dance is unique from all other forms of experience or activity. It offers a great deal of enjoyment that is equally shared by those who do it. Social dance, for example, involves at least two people who share the experience together, not dominating or trying to outdo the other, which fosters with it a sense of unity and at times even a sense of family, as this next example may indicate. Quote, say I'm 50 years old and I've lost my spouse. Whether to divorce or an illness or something happens. I'm single again. Where am I going to go to be with an active group of people? Couch potatoes stay home and sit on the couch. But I've had people tell me at my studios that it feels like family. It's a place to be and a place where people will accept you. And you're challenged and you can socialize. And it's not a bar. It's not threatening. I think people can be nervous when they first come into a dance studio because they don't know what we're going to do to them. And you get nervous when you don't know what to expect. But that's with anything. You go to ask out someone on a date and you're going to be nervous. When you ask, what does dancing do for people to help them in their lives? That's it. It provides a sense of family. Karen Hermanson, national competitor and studio owner. In other group activities, this is not so. Some individuals with more natural ability or strength, or better practice, generally tend to do better than others and dominate in an activity or sport. This is seen in such games like basketball, soccer, football, or any other kind of sport. Even in simple games, there is some unbalance in practitioners. Those who play well tend to be the winners, which leaves out one or many others. This isn't to say that competition is a bad thing, but bringing it up shows how dance is unique in character from these other activities, since it is one of few that are designed without distinctive goals of achievement over another. Rather, dance is a challenge in contrast to sports and events and games, to cooperate with one or many others, to gain something together that cannot always be achieved apart. In this pursuit, dance becomes further independent in its distinctiveness as an activity excellent for distraction from our day-to-day activities and stresses. Consider these words. Quote, dance is totally encompassing. When most people dance, they can't think of anything else. Not so with other forms of exercise. A lot of times they'll go to the gym, they'll run, they'll jog, but they can still think of business. Their mind is still fully capable of thinking about their daily problems and troubles. But when you're dancing, You've got a full plate. You've got your partner, you've got the music, and you've got so many other things. You're using your mind and your body, not just one or the other. Therefore, it is a beautiful form of diversion from everyday life. Dance satisfies a lot of things. It produces exercise, and it's something that a man and woman can share together that no other activity really matches up with. In a dancing partnership, you're not competing with one another. You're assisting one another to create something. If you play tennis, you're competing against one another. Play ping pong, there's still that competitive nature that's going to kick in. Cards? Yes, it's going to creep in there. You know how some people are naturally competitive. So it really offers a couple so many things. Older couples, a mild form of exercise that is healthy in several respects. There are a lot of little kids that get together. It's a great way of associating with the opposite sex in a very healthy way. That's something that ballroom dancing can do, because the kids that do it, they're not shy, boys or girls. They talk and hold hands, they take dance position, and it's great. You don't get this weird aversion. But in athletics, you have boys' teams and girls' teams, but there aren't any sports where they learn all together. End quote. Ron Montez, in interview July 21, 2010, professional and former U.S. Latin champion. As Mr. Montez puts it, dance is an excellent form of distraction. It is useful in alleviating stress and relaxing the tension we carry from many long hours at work or school, and from household and family responsibilities. Dancers may take from their experience an ability to find release from stresses and other burdens. But this is only one valuable resource dance can provide. Another notion mentioned by Mr. Montez is noteworthy. He suggested that people who practice dancing become much more comfortable with the opposite sex. To expound on this, I offer that dance can become a very good lesson in social exchange between people. Ballroom and social dance parties are designed to create an atmosphere of fun and entertainment where people can mix and meet one another in a healthy and safe environment. These friendly social interactions can be opportunities for boys and girls to interact and become comfortable with each other. The same is true for both men and women. When boys learn to interact with girls at a young age, they become less shy and awkward around them. They also become more confident. They learn respect for girls and learn to treat them with more dignity. Girls also learn more confidence, as well as self-respect. They learn to be more assertive and can identify how they want and should be treated. Men and women also share in these lessons. This helps them to avoid or overcome some of the social problems that can come up in societies that encourage aversion to the opposite sex, such as abuse, prejudice, sexual misconduct, promiscuity, and also social difficulties such as over-shyness or social awkwardness and inability to communicate with others. Indeed, social dancing can help lessen these societal and personal plagues significantly. Quote, dancing is for young people of all ages. It keeps you young. I've had classes with a 60-year-old grandma standing with a 14-year-old, learning right together in the same class. It takes away the social barriers. End quote. Karen Hermanson, national competitor and studio owner. There should be no wonder about whether such comfort in social exchanges is good for us. Most of our society requires versatility when interacting with others. Examples can be interviewing for a new job, establishing relations with businesses or customers, or even being able to meet new people and make friends. A good teacher of mine once stated, "Dance is a lesson in projecting yourself to others, even to the world." If we can project ourselves well in the sense of the examples shown, we will likely do well in all our endeavors. Quote, dancing is moving to the music without stepping on anyone's toes, pretty much the same as life. Close quote. Robert Brault, writer. It can be difficult for dancers to discuss all they have learned in their experience. It isn't something we would regularly take time out to think about after the fact. How many of us come home from a day at work or dance training, tired, and say, "Okay, what did I learn today?" Understanding and assimilation of lessons often come when we are not expecting it. Sometimes something is said offhand, or some new instruction is given which flips the switch and the light bulbs come on, causing us to think, "I never thought about that before," or "I can't believe I didn't think of that myself." Dancers are much more likely to spend time focusing on the development of their skills and their bodies because it is more relevant to what they are doing. Because of this, lessons learned in dance can be hard to put into words because dancers are not often aware of all they could be gaining. I found that interviews with dancers often went much smoother, with more gained, when dancers had opportunities to gather their thoughts on the subject. But still, all took long moments of pause to consider their training and their experience to articulate what they really gained from it. It is a good exercise for any dancer to try to articulate an appropriate expression of an activity that is so totally encompassing, as Mr. Montez puts it. Feelings dancers have towards dance can be expressed as both subtle and overpowering at once. This makes it extremely difficult to describe adequately unless thought has previously been taken to the subject. Unfortunately, this means it can be hard for a dancer to describe why dance is so important to them when talking to others. Consider the experience of this capable dancer. Quote, "When people discover that I'm a dance major at Brigham Young University, Idaho, they almost always respond with, 'Dance? Oh, how fun!' It is indeed fun, and I love it, but dance is more than just a good time for me. Across the globe, all kinds of people dance in different ways and for different reasons. For me, dance is a release. It is a physical extension of my inner self. Dance has become an all-encompassing form of expression that requires my total commitment, both in body and mind, as well as in spirit and soul. Because we use our body, mind, and soul simultaneously, dance allows us to physically express what is happening on the inside of us. It also instills a sense of accomplishment and confidence for us when we improve on our skills. I like to think that I can speak more clearly through dancing than with words. But it is important to remember that as artists and professionals, we should be able to speak intelligently about our work with the mouth as well. Recently, I auditioned for a graduate program, and one of the questions in the interviewing process was, "Why is dance important?" Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? But really, why is dance so important? I answered that dance gives a chance to communicate what we can't always say with words. I would not recommend giving such an answer to a graduate review board. Immediately upon my reply, one of the interviewers challenged me with, quote, "But as representatives of this great art form, we need to be able to competently articulate what we're trying to say with the body with words as well. Otherwise, people do not take us very seriously, or may misunderstand what we're really trying to say." I have to agree, yet I do not feel like I'm at the point where I can always articulate how I feel about dance. Why is it so important? This is a good question that every dancer should ask themselves, especially if they want to teach. Whether student or teacher, there should be a compelling reason why you come into the studio every day. I'm still working on pinpointing what mine is. Not that I don't have one, it's just that I can't quite say what it is. I feel so elated and otherworldly when I dance. So at this point, I get myself into class simply because I love the way it feels, and I love to feel a sense of community and accomplishment with my fellow dancers. I love exploring new territory in dance and seeing what my fellow artists have to contribute. It is unwise to believe that one's own genre of dance is the best. Every dancer has something important to say, and we can learn so much from each other than we could ever learn on our own. To be brief, we should at some point in our careers discover the compelling reasons for why we dance. In doing so, we will better develop our craft and widen our scope of influence. There will be a definitive purpose behind what we do. Close quote. Jamie Myers, Yakima, Washington, student of modern dance. Another area of learning through dance to consider is the idea that children who dance gain specific advantages in life over their peers who do not. This is not a new understanding in the dance world. Many instructors and writers of dance have published on the topic. They have observed that children who attend dance classes and practice movement develop motor skills, balance, and mental cognitivity through creativity. Children's dance isn't the traditional form of dance that are taught to students in adolescence, nor is it like the more advanced adult classes. Rather, children's dance is an exploration of movement at a basic level. This will assist a child in establishing mind-body awareness, giving them greater control of what they are doing. It also supports the natural development of their constantly changing bodies. When someone has better control over something new, they are more free to explore and develop other areas of their lives. Dance is also good for children who are shy, clumsy, or hyperactive. It is not uncommon for a child to have any one of these behavioral attributes, or even to have several in combination. Dance provides a unique atmosphere that can serve as both outlet and sanctuary. Those who are shy can find acceptance in a safe environment. They will explore themselves in a way that will boost confidence and encourage them to become more outgoing. For a clumsy child, children's dance can provide the opportunity to bump into things, fall down, and stumble in a safe environment. They will work on balance and stability, self-awareness, and awareness of others and their surroundings. In time, they will become less clumsy, working it out of their system. For the hyperactive child, dance is a great choice of activity. They will be encouraged to explore their energy in a controlled environment where they can practice movement from one dynamic to the other, from calm to excited, and back to tranquil. In time, they will learn self-control, and they will eventually be able to channel their energy into constructive motivation for many endeavors in life. I once had an instructor who related to our class a story about herself as a little girl. She said she was hyperactive and out of control all the time, so her parents took her to a doctor. This was before we had any such diagnoses as ADD or ADHD. The doctor, in all his wisdom, and I think he was inspired, said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with her. She's just a dancer." That was all the prescription he offered, and it proved to be all that was needed in her case. Some of us just need to dance, and many children will want to continue if they are given the opportunity. The benefits of dance are not limited to children alone. Many adults come into dance studios looking for something new to try. Often these are people who are looking for new excitement, new friends, or new activity. I've often seen couples looking to reconnect with their spouse start taking lessons together. They are looking for a good time, but surprised to find they are having difficulty keeping up with the steps. Many people who later in life look at dancing to supplement for lost activity in life have often worked for many years doing the same thing, or the same sorts of things again and again. Without much of any other exercise or movement, their bodies have become stiff in several respects, making movement difficult and awkward. It doesn't feel good to move in new ways required by their dance teacher. It sometimes hurts or feels unnatural because the body isn't used to moving freely, unhinged from the restraints of a select group of tasks they might associate with at work. I find that those accustomed to working at a desk job 8 hours a day, with little after-work activity, tend to have the most trouble adapting to their first dance lessons. But the beauty is that dance is effective in alleviating the tension stored up in the body from hours and long years of doing the same thing. Those who stick with it will in time feel lighter, healthier, happier, more capable of doing what they want to do with their spare time, and better able to take care of themselves in later days. There are very few other activities that are as effective in this. Martial arts and swimming can be effective exercises and supportive of cardiovascular function. They are perhaps the only other activities that can compare to the level of demand that dance puts on the body and mind. But martial arts can also be very punishing on the body, and swimming means you need to get your hair wet every time you exercise. Other sports do not come close to providing the benefits of dance. Though they may use large muscle groups and require a great deal of stamina, they often don't use the smaller stabilization muscle groups effectively or in nearly the same way. They do not require so many parts of the body and mind to be used in unison and coordination. Sport practitioners play singular roles in an event and have relatively few things to think about. Even swimming lacks significantly when it comes to the demands placed on the brain by dancing. Sports also do not require a player to move in ways outside what their role requires. But contemporary dance, ballet, tap, hip-hop, jazz, and Latin standard ballroom styles, for example, require muscle control over every part of the body, every extremity, every bone, and every tendon, which also requires a great deal of concentration, focus, thought, and discipline. Dancing is also one activity that does not require the use of a large space or a particular number of people. You can dance by yourself, in place, around a room, in a chair, up the stairs, with a partner, or even an invented partner, like a broom or umbrella. Haven't you ever heard of someone dancing with their vacuum while doing chores? Dance really is all-encompassing and can benefit a person who may be aware of decreasing mobility, no matter how young or old, in ways they could have only hoped for in other forms of activity. Dance can also be a place for the acquisition of skills. Through dance, one can achieve the skills necessary to gain mastery in many aspects of life. Chief among these skills is discipline, which makes possible the mastery of many others. For example, if children learn to have discipline while they are young, they will have discipline that will assist them throughout their lives and through many difficulties and in many ventures. Never ceasing to be undervalued today is the virtue of personal discipline. As we've explored, dance forms require a tremendous use of the body. Being a good dancer requires the attention and focus of the mind over the body to be able to execute the intricate patterns of a dance, while matching them with the rhythms they were meant to mesh with. This requires disciplined action, disciplined attitude, and disciplined focus. People can learn discipline at any age, though it is more helpful to an individual to learn it while young. When young people understand how to discipline themselves, they will have the ability to learn quicker and push themselves longer than any others. They can even achieve eventually over those with greater talent who lack discipline. It is a quality that will permeate all parts of life and assist in the achievement of any goal. Discipline is taught in all dance forms, but ballet has a particular quality that enforces discipline to a great extent. Ballet has a long-standing history for achievement of balance and strength. It is a dance discipline second to none in its focus on the aesthetics of movement and musicality, and has added significantly for more than 100 years to the quality of dance as an art form. Ballerinas train for years to achieve what few in this style of dance have accomplished. It requires such a great amount of discipline that many have come to think it too structured and formalized, and often move away to other forms of dance that are less rigid and demanding. Yet, those who have at least some ballet training often do better and learn faster in other dance forms because of the amount of trained discipline they learned. But dance strictly as an art form holds additional learning that can benefit a person's lifestyle. The art of dance is chiefly mediated by music and percussion. They are essential elements in making the activity possible, and therefore are essential to the dancer. Gaining an understanding of musical rhythm is very important to dancing and is learned both through repetition and in taking lessons. Musicians, or those with vocal training, may have some advantage in this area because they have learned about the patterns and structure of musical form and have a better idea of what to listen for. However, this is not necessary. Learning is dependent on regular effort. Like muscle memory, rhythm can only be achieved as we allow ourselves to practice it, experience it, till we come to recognize it. Those who learn to dance but struggle with rhythm will with practice gain a sense of rhythm and coordination to the music they listen to. In time, they will become capable of hearing and generating rhythm in themselves. Understanding rhythm is a great benefit. Learning rhythm is an exercise of pacing. How we pace ourselves in work and in our day generally affects our performance and ability to act and grow. Allowing a sense of rhythm to take hold of our lives allows all our activities to become an extension of the rhythms found within our bodies. Our plans, our goals, and our day begin to fall into pace with all other aspects of life needs and day-to-day tasks. It is a great lesson because rhythm helps us find balance in life, to not overexert ourselves, and consistency which generates a steadiness of character. Concepts of rhythm are often used in percussive dance styles as a metaphor, describing the natural rhythms contained within, such as the heartbeat, in regular succession with the body as it moves, as the reason and the method for dancing. The heart's rhythm, or pace, changes, increasing while we are in motion and decreases when we are still. Dances such as tap and clog, and some popular folk dances are fantastic for generating an awareness of this necessary function of life. They tap into the natural rhythms of the body and draw on it for the qualities they possess. Clog, tap, and folk dances are perhaps the most energetic dance styles that provide this understanding of natural rhythm and balance from within. These energetic dances, aside from offering a better sense of rhythm, are great exercises and fun. In some respects, they are as good an exercise as aerobics. Now, it shouldn't be thought that only the young or the athletic can participate in these styles of dance. Dance is not necessarily an athletic discipline, and we don't have to be in shape to try it. But over time, the consistent dancer will develop an athletic quality. Dancers push themselves beyond their starting limitations. They start to outperform others, and in so doing gain awareness of development, which pushes them even further. Exercise helps people live longer, feel better, and feel happier. Dancers accomplish these ideas with their own unique method of exercise. However, it is interesting to note that dance, in its beginnings, was never meant to be exercise. Dance is designed to be fun and an enjoyable activity shared with others. It is not an activity designed with exercise in mind, yet it celebrates the natural athleticism of the body in all its potential. And dancers still enjoy the benefits of exercise. It's just that it comes as a byproduct of the experience rather than the main goal. The real object of dance is to have fun. It is more about being a part of the music and responding to it than getting in shape. Though there are many who start dancing to get healthy, it is a long, difficult process to meet the goal without first having fun in the method chosen to do it. I suppose this is true for many activities, but where dance is concerned, if there isn't fun first, I cannot imagine that dancing is what's going on. Gary Spencer, the famous trial lawyer and author, now retired, once said, quote, "The way people move is their autobiography in motion," unquote. This suggests that dance has the ability to communicate something about ourselves to others. It would be impossible to express our needs without some form of gesture to communicate with. Because of this, we have all kinds of gestures used throughout each day to indicate our needs and what we are doing. Communication makes it possible for people to live communally with each other. It allows us to be understood. But communication is also something very misunderstood. There are many kinds of communication and many ways of implementing each one. And if we are not able to communicate the same language, our exchange becomes very limited. Quote, "Speech is, after all, only a system of gestures, having the peculiarity that each gesture produces a characteristic sound, so that it can be perceived through the ear as well as through the eye. Listening to a speaker instead of looking at him tends to make us think of speech as essentially a system of sounds. But it is not. Essentially, it is a system of gestures made with the lungs and larynx and the cavities of the mouth and nose. We get still further away from the fundamental facts about speech when we think of it as something that can be written and read, forgetting that writing, in our clumsy notations, can represent only a small part of the spoken sound, where pitch, stress, tempo, and rhythm are almost entirely ignored. Every language in this way is a specialized form of bodily gesture, and in this sense it may be said that the dance is the mother of all language." Close quote. R.G. Collingwood, The Principles of Art, British philosopher, author, and historian. Dance can teach us to be effective communicators. Many folk dances were devised for the purpose of communicating ideas and feelings. Some originated for a religious purpose, even to communicate with spirits and gods on the other side. We still use dance to communicate our ideas today. We teach stories through dance, like all classical ballets, which tell some sort of story, like the Nutcracker or the Rite of Spring. And some ballroom dances are designed with some kind of story or variation on a theme. Other dances tell a story as they go. Dance is a form of communication which relies on time, space, and energy to create a system of syntax that can be interpreted. With time, the dancer is able to mix gestures at varying speeds, relying on quick movements to suggest an attitude of stress, franticness, power, speed, excitement, lightness, surprise, shock, or fear. Slow movements can be used to suggest weakness, strain, heaviness, calmness, relaxed, and more. The dancer can then use energy and space to clarify any of these personalities. Energy can be used to refer to a degree of commitment, ability, unrest, or at ease. Space then offers levels of height and distance for each behavior in 3 dimensions, as a dancer's location in a performance also tells a great deal about what is going on. People who learn to dance or attend dance performances regularly learn to interpret communication on a variety of levels by incorporating a mixture of different communication forms. A person doesn't have to rely on speech and sound only. Body position, along with energy quality and the speed of movement, can tell an awful lot more. Such a person may learn to incorporate these other forms of communication into their existing vocabulary to further communicate their own intentions and ideas. The influential English poet, literary critic, and playwright of the 17th century, John Dryden, expressed his sentiment on dance as a communication, saying that, quote, "Dancing is the poetry of the foot." Close quote. This, I feel, is best echoed by the early modern dance pioneer, Ruth St. Denis, who once commented, quote, "I see dance being used as communication between body and soul to express what is too deep to find for words." Close quote. Now we come to one final part of our comprehensive dance class. It is a lesson that carries with it the strength of courage and a sense of fortitude, building character and resolve. It also lingers in the conscious thought that allows us to move on ahead despite the unknown. Each class, each new step, each study, and each lead and follow in dance is an opportunity to grow in new understanding and deepen experience. In essence, dance can teach us how to deal with the fear of the new and unexplored. Ray Ellen, who shared her story with us earlier, came to understand this lesson of overcoming fears when she was a new dance student. Her instructor, Jay, thought she was making progress in a few of the social dances and wanted to help push her to the next level. He began to encourage her to participate in an upcoming dance competition. She recalls, quote, "Jay was pestering me to do it, and I finally got mad and said, 'Why would I want to do something like that?' And he told me, 'It will force you to work on technique and styling like nothing else will.' I thought that over and said, Well, that makes sense. That's why I agreed to do it. I told him one day that I wanted to compete, and he said, "Okay, I knew you would." He walked me through what the competition would be like. We practiced each of the dances, and we did them for a minute, which is how long you would dance in a competition, so I got a feel of what to expect. That was really the only preparation. There was no routine. He didn't believe in routines for that level of competition, so it was just lead and follow. I was taking 3 or 4 lessons a week at that time, and we did 3 dances: cha-cha, salsa, and hustle. I had such a fear about the competition, but I thought doing it would help me get past the hang-ups I had about it. And it did actually help me, because after I'd done it, I thought, well, that wasn't so bad. That doesn't mean it made it easier to do again, but I proved to myself that I could do it. It was less of an experience of, oh, this was the greatest thing ever. It was more, I did it. During and before the event, I felt sick to my stomach, scared, insecure, like I wanted to throw up. But after it was over, I was relieved. I proved to myself that I could do it. Nothing bad happened. I didn't die. People that were there complimented me. They thought it was a cool thing that I did it." Close quote. Dancing is a constant practice of stepping into the dark. We may never be sure of what lies in front of us, or what the outcome of an event will be once we've arrived at the door of a new opportunity. But for a dancer, confidence in this is built in with each and every performance. Almost all dance forms have a performance aspect tied together with learning. And those performances, though difficult for many to get through, can have a tremendous impact on a dancer's life. It is in doing the hard things that we learn to be independent, in confronting fear and uncertainty, that we are liberated. Eventually, the dancer learns to apply the faith gained from performance to continue onto the stage, taking whatever comes with it to other parts of his or her life. Each time gets easier. This can help a person deal with disappointments, failures, and successes by becoming more acquainted with the associated emotions. Dance experience is so much more than the sum of its parts. The influence of a single lesson can transcend fundamental instruction and outlive the studio where lessons began and the teachers who taught them. It can outlive the student and influence many generations. Dancers live at the heart of what they do, but the heart is not very easily defined. Dancers' work reflects a quality unbeset by common disciplines or practices, and yet still fosters some of the greatest discipline of all. Dance can transform us, body and mind, reveal hidden potential, and draw out of us all we can become, because at the heart of dance are lessons which teach about living.